Welcome to Tyler's Tailgate Talk. I'm Tyler. I'm joined by producer Max in the corner over there. Max, say hello to the people.
What's going on, people? Welcome to episode 1 of Tyler's Tailgate Talk. Super
Yeah,
pumped to be producing it for you guys.
awesome. Yeah, welcome. New pod. We thought we'd start up. I joined Max and the gang last week and just decided, hey, let's talk some college football with you guys. So let's get right into it. College football starts this weekend. I'm pumped as ever. Um, they kind of do this weird thing. They have a week 0 where I don't know if you call it the just games to get the season going or nothing real important or anything. But I guess this is going to come out on Friday. So tomorrow, when you're watching this, we got Illinois and Nebraska kicking off the college football season. And then later on in the day, in Saturday afternoon, we got Chip Kelly and the UCLA Bruins hosting Hawaii later in the day on ESPN. And then Thursday, which I guess would technically be week 1, we've got Isaiah Likely, friend of the old show, the Couch Potato Show, and Coastal Carolina taking on the Citadel. We got Evans School, Buffalo.
Yeah, you Buff starts next week.
Yeah, hosting Wagner up in Buffalo. And then the big one that everyone's going to be keeping their eyes on Thursday night. The road to the college football playoff really begins. Minnesota hosting Ohio State. Ohio State got their first-year starter, CJ Stroud, taking over. Definitely going to be interesting to see how that goes because obviously Justin Fields was such a big part of what Ohio State did last year and just missing that championship opportunity. But a lot of people were saying CJ Stroud, their new quarterback, is going to be kind of a Dwayne Haskins, Justin Fields mix. So
He's
he'll
tall.
be, yeah, he's big. He's a big boy.
6'3", 220. Damn.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, redshirt freshman. So he's probably closer to our age, Tyler. Oh my God, he's 19.
Yeah.
This always makes me feel so bad when I look at players' ages. Like,
Oh yeah.
oh my gosh.
The worst.
What am I doing with my life?
The worst is my freshman year here down here in Alabama. We had a point guard on the basketball team. Kyra Lewis plays in the NBA now. He was a sophomore when I was a freshman, but he was a week younger than I am, which is weird. I guess he skipped 2 grades or something. It was weird.
That's wild.
So, I'm like a senior in high school. This kid's a freshman in college. I'm just and my parents were just like, you could be in the NBA next year, but you failed. You failed at life.
It's true though. I remember when Zion got drafted, not to get into the NBA, but I remember when Zion got drafted,
Yeah.
Zion isn't that much older than us. I think he's 5 or 4 months older than me. So
Yeah.
I was like, oh my God, dude, what am I doing with my life?
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah. I had a question though, going back a little bit. You said there's a week 0. Now, is that in replacement of a preseason, or is there also preseason games?
So college football, they don't do preseason. They'll have a bunch of scrimmages within the team just because they can, because they have enough players to do so. The NFL kind of needs preseason because they only have 52-man roster. But college football, you can have, it seems like 150 players on the team at one time.
Gotcha.
I think it's
that makes
80,
more sense.
Yeah, I think it's 80 something.
Wow.
So that's why they do spring games. They do a couple scrimmages before the season starts. I think we had our scrimmage down here in Alabama 2 weeks ago, I want to say. Most of the time it's closed off to the public and just media only. So
Gotcha.
Yeah, and week 0 is kind of a weird thing because if you ask anybody who works for like ESPN or Fox or any of these networks, they'll call it week 1 because the NCAA doesn't want it to be called a week 0. But in the fans' eyes, the college football season doesn't start when Illinois plays Nebraska.
Yeah.
College football season
It
college
starts when
football
this
season starts
playoff
when the
starts.
big teams, but yeah. When
Exactly.
you see Ohio State get on the field, when you see Alabama play Miami, that's when the college football season starts, really. Um, so we got those games on Thursday. Alabama Miami on next Saturday. So we'll have another episode before then for you guys, previewing that and getting hyped for that. Penn State, Wisconsin, Oklahoma, and Tulane are planned next Saturday. The Heisman favorite, Spencer Rattler, which is going to be pretty exciting to watch because he's a special guy. He can really do a lot of things on the football field, and something we haven't really seen at Oklahoma because he's a lot more pocket passer ish kind of thing, which obviously Kyler Murray was not. Baker Mayfield, not really.
He loved those bootlegs.
Oh yeah, Baker Mayfield, if he has the option to do anything in life or scramble out of the pocket, he'll pick scramble out of the pocket. So Rattler's kind of that more mature quarterback, I guess you could say. So
Yeah, like a Brady type.
yeah,
Like just poised in the pocket.
If Brady could run.
Yeah.
If he could run.
If he could, yeah.
If he could. Yeah.
He can't, just to be clear.
Yeah, I think everyone knows that by now. And then next Saturday, the game that I'm most excited for personally, we got Clemson and Georgia, both ranked in the top 5. Both have, I guess, new starters. JT Daniels isn't necessarily a new starter because he played a couple games last year, but it's going to be really exciting to see what he's got with Georgia and that offensive line with a full season. I think Georgia is going to be one of the best teams in college football, hands down, just because of how talented they are. And I think JT Daniels could be the best quarterback in college football. Spencer Rattler definitely could say otherwise, but that's going to be a good one up in North Carolina next Saturday. So let's get some headlines because everyone loves a good headline. Some good headlines this week coming out of the college football world with the season starting on Saturday. Auburn's new head coach, Brian Harsin, going down to the SEC, tested positive for COVID-19. Not good, not ideal.
Hate to see it.
Yeah. In a statement, Harsin said, quote, "I'm not anti-vaccine, just haven't gotten it yet."
Okay.
Which is funny because basically what the SEC did was they almost mandated the vaccine. They almost required the vaccine for at least I know it was definitely for students playing SEC football. I guess it wasn't coaches too, but if it was, not a good look for Brian Harsin because I think college football came out and said that if there's any cancellations or anything due to COVID outbreaks and within the teams, there was probably going to be some sort of fine, which would be unfortunate for Auburn. Can't say that I wouldn't enjoy seeing it, but it would be unfortunate if there was a cancellation in college football after we waited this long.
Yeah, it's wild, dude. Like you would think he's setting such a bad example. Like the whole like for thee and not for me. Like whole team has to do stuff that like I feel like it would be a good example to just like bring your team together over that.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
Yeah, I don't get it. I don't know why you wouldn't just get it. I mean, especially when you're the head coach and
Yeah,
this is
and
your first year.
yeah, and you're coming out and saying I'm not an anti-vaxxer. So it's like not because you're an anti-vaxxer. It's like just get the shot. You
Yeah,
know, it's gonna help your team, if anything.
yeah, we're past the point where uh people can say, "Oh, I just haven't been able to get it yet." Like we're months past that.
They're widely available, not to get into vaccine
Yeah.
eligibility and
Yeah,
everything.
but we'll move past that.
We'll move past it.
Um on Wednesday, the Pac-12, Big Ten, and ACC announced that they will form an alliance, I guess you would call it, um, for the upcoming years when the Big Ten's Texas and Oklahoma join the SEC. So the Big Ten the Big 12 kind of getting left out to dry there, which I would understand because it seems like everyone wants to leave the Big 12. There's a bunch of teams trying to go up to the Pac-12, a bunch of teams trying to move to the ACC. So this alliance between the Pac-12, Big Ten, and ACC would be a scheduling thing, just so they can, I guess, improve upon their strength of schedule to eventually take down the SEC in the college football playoff or something. Now, the one interesting thing that I saw when reading about this the other day was the Pac-12 commissioner. Oh, I forget his name. Whatever, the Pac-12 commissioner, and said that nothing is going to be written. And there's not going to be anything signed. It's not a signed agreement. There's no official plans for anything to happen. It's just going to be a mutual understanding between those three conferences that, oh, we don't like the SEC. Let's band up, try our best to do whatever we can to bring them down, which is going to be very fun to watch.
His name is George Kliavkoff.
Thank you. That's
You're
probably
welcome.
why I wasn't remembering it, because it's impossible to pronounce.
Yeah, I don't think I pronounced it correctly.
That's all right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to get interesting come, I think, 2023 or 2020, maybe it's 2022. But whenever Oklahoma and Texas join the ACC, that's when things are really going to start getting spicy in college football, because you got all these teams, the Alabamas, the Georgias, the Floridas, Texas A&Ms, already in the SEC. All four of those teams were in contention for a playoff spot last year, at the beginning of the season at least. Even LSU and Auburn at times. And now you've got Oklahoma, who's a playoff favorite this year. You got Texas, who will be back eventually, all coming together, and they're going to form almost a super conference. I mean, leave out Clemson and Ohio State, and you've got all the best teams in college football right there in the SEC. So it'll be interesting to see what that Pac-12, Big Ten, ACC alliance is. I don't know. I think it's stupid. I think it's stupid.
I think it's stupid if you're going to leave out the Big 12 too. Like if you're going to try to band together, get everybody.
Well, I think the problem with the Big 12 is they're not very appealing anymore, because they no longer have their two best marketable teams, I guess. So you still got your Oklahoma States in there, which I would be surprised if they didn't go Big Ten if this all unfolded into some wacko mess where we got only 4 conferences, which it probably will be. It was funny because I was watching Get Up yesterday on ESPN, and they had Paul Feinbaum on, who is actually speaking at in my class later today, which will be very fun.
That's cool.
Yeah. So anyway, yesterday on Get Up, Feinbaum said that the state of college football, or the college football landscape, is in, and I quote, a state of disaster. He also used words like embarrassing. Uh, he described the college football landscape as a mess. Now, this is a guy that is more knowledgeable than anybody on the college football subject. I mean, an SEC guy, um, went to Tennessee. SEC football has been his life since the dark ages, whenever he was born. He's older than dirt. So him saying that this is terrible for college football, I'm not surprised. It's probably going to ruin college football as we know it. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if maybe 10 years down the road we get like the SEC's own league. We get like a bunch of teams trying to join the SEC, and the SEC gets their own league, and then like the college football season, and the college football playoff in the NCAA is just everybody else.
That'd be mad interesting because there's like literally not a single other sport where it's like that.
Yeah, it would be weird.
Yeah,
because
that would be wild.
we haven't seen anything like it in any sport. I mean, this would go back to the days where we had like the ABA or something, or the CBA in like basketball, where there was like two different leagues and everyone was just wondering why they couldn't like band together and just like
Yeah.
form a super league. This is kind of the opposite, to where the super league would be disbanded from. So it's unfortunate because I love the old, I guess now it is the old college football setup. The Power Five, you got Power Five conferences, you got your group of fives, that have no chance in hell at doing anything good in the postseason, because they don't have enough money. And then you got the SEC, ACC, Big Ten, Big 12, Pac-12, all even playing field, I guess, quote unquote, even playing field. So it'll be interesting to see. We got a couple years before anything real big happens. So let's just enjoy it while we can. More headlines. The LSU football team announced that they will require proof of vaccination or a negative COVID test upon entry to the stadium. They're going to be at 100%. I believe Oregon and Oregon State are going to be doing the same. I think both of those schools are going to be at 80% though. So LSU is going to be the first, I guess not the first, but they did announce that they will be requiring proof of vaccination, which is interesting in the South, for sure. Because I can tell you down here, if they decide to do require proof of vaccination down here in Tuscaloosa, it would not go well.
No, it doesn't seem like it.
No. I mean, people down here are very stuck in their ways. So, yeah, I would be very surprised if my school did anything along those lines, because they would get a lot of backlash from the locals. I haven't heard of LSU getting any of that yet. I would be surprised if they didn't. But just an interesting thing, definitely for a Southern school.
Yeah, it is strange. I feel like over the past couple years, and even more so this year, just like life in sports is so much more interconnected.
Yeah.
Like the outside world, like most of the time, I guess not most of the time, 10 years ago, you could like go watch a sports game And I'm not saying this is a good or a bad thing. I'm just saying it is what it is. You could go watch a sports game and you kind of just forget about the real world. But now I
Yeah.
feel like you watch sports and there's so many things, whether it be advertisements or commercials or something else on the field, like it makes you think about other things in the real world, and it's all tied together way more now.
Yeah, politics too. I
Yeah.
mean, you can't watch you can't I mean, when I was over the summer, I would show up to Yankee Stadium for Yankee games. I mean, you couldn't stand for the national anthem without looking around the stadium and see somebody sitting down. I mean, that's just how it goes. Or NFL Sundays when you're watching, they do the pan of all the players on the sideline for the national anthem. I mean, you're not watching just a sporting event anymore.
No.
So, um, let's get into some questionable takes for the college football season, because there's a lot of question marks because we haven't played a game yet. There's a lot of question marks because this is college football, and a quarter of your football team are kids that just graduated high school. Ton of the players you're going to be seeing on Saturdays, they played in high school last year. So nobody knows who's going to do what. No one knows who's going to be who. It's all a big question mark. Let's get into some of the big ones. First off, is Bryce Young ready to be the face of Alabama? I mean, Alabama coming off a national championship, coming off of the year that they had with Mac Jones and Devontae Smith, the player that they had in Jalen Waddle. Obviously, the injury derailed that, but just the core players that they had all lost the NFL draft. So, is the second year guy Bryce Young ready to take the reins under Nick Saban and lead Alabama back to another championship? I don't know. No, I promised Max when we were getting this podcast squared away and when we were first coming up with the idea, promised him that I wouldn't be too biased.
So I'm gonna try. Evan and I have to try and do that a lot.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, we end up apologizing.
So I'm gonna apologize. I'm sorry, but I'm gonna try not to be too biased here. Actually, I think I'll do a good job. Give me 1 second.
Yeah.
So Bryce Young, don't have a lot of faith in. I don't think Bryce Young is ready to take that big step and be the quarterback of Alabama. I don't think he's going to be a Mac Jones. He's not going to be a Tua. He'll fall short of being what Jalen Hurts was here. I think if Alabama's lucky, they get a spot in the playoffs. I just don't see it because of how many players they lost last year and how many players they need to really turn it up this year. They got Brian Robinson coming back at running back. Supposed to be one of the best top 3 running back in the nation. So they have that going for him. John Mechie over a wide receiver, one of the best in the country. But you look around the offense and there's really not anybody else there. Jaleel Billingsley was supposed to be one of the best tight ends in the country, and he's had some problems in the past few weeks at practice, which Nick Saban's not very happy about. Some off the field issues. So a lot of question marks down here in Tuscaloosa. A lot of question marks around the national champions. So I'm not 100% bought in the statement that Alabama is going to repeat no problem this year. I just don't see it happening just yet. I need to see a lot more from Bryce Young, especially.
That didn't sound biased at all.
What's that?
That didn't sound too biased at all.
No, I said I was going to do a good job.
Yeah, you did a great job.
At least here. I'm not done yet. That's the problem. Let's go over to Georgia, the SEC East. Is anybody gonna compete with Georgia? I guess I might be kind of countering my words here, but I think Georgia's got smooth sailing come in the SEC East. I do think they'll beat Clemson week 1, just because JT Daniels is so good. The only loss I see them possibly having this year would be the SEC championship if they had to play Alabama. That's it. And if they made the playoffs, and Alabama did too, I see it a little less because Georgia would be in their second game against the Tide, but still not 100% sure that they have what it takes to beat Alabama if Alabama does perform to what they were last year. One big question mark that everyone's having this year, and no one's really talking about it early, it's really just going to become a subject when we get later on in the season, which in my opinion is too late to talk about it. So let's talk about it now. Can a group of 5 school, so any school that's not in one of those Power 5, Pac-12, Big 10, Big 12, ACC, SEC conferences, any team outside of that, can they make the playoff? Now, I did my research. I went on my Google, and Cincinnati is ranked number 8 this year, which is very high for a group of 5. Not saying they're not deserving, because they are, but I think what Luke Fickell's got there in Cincinnati, if they've got 2 ranked teams on their schedule, Notre Dame being one of them, Indiana being the other, if they can beat Indiana and Notre Dame convincingly, and obviously go undefeated the rest of their schedule, I think there's an argument to be made for Cincinnati making the playoff, which would be the first group of 5 team to make the playoff in the college football playoff era, which would be huge.
They were good last year too.
They were really good last year. Just a couple losses just really ruined everything.
Yeah, I feel like college football, you got to be perfect.
Yeah, I mean it sucks that way, because that is why they're expanding the playoffs eventually. But I mean, a lot of people were saying like 2 years ago, Alabama lost to Joe Burrow's LSU, and then they lost to Auburn, both in close games, but they lost both games. And a lot of people were saying that that Alabama team could have beaten Clemson, who LSU beat in the national championship. So we're going to get some good teams up top by the end of the year. Coastal Carolina is another one that outperformed every expectation anybody ever had of them last year. They've got a lot of promise with Grayson McCall coming back, Isaiah Likely, friend of the old show, coming back as well, one of the best tight ends in the country. So Coastal Carolina is going to be another good one to watch. They're kind of low on the rankings to start the year at 22. They also don't have any ranked teams on their schedule, so that's going to be tough for them, at least. But we're going to wrap it up soon. I'm going to give you my picks for the week real quick, and I guess for the year, because it is week 0. Every week I'll just give you my pick for whatever the college game day game of the week is, as well as any other really important games that I see. So first, we Alabama versus Miami. I don't see Miami winning this one at all, despite what Derek King is saying. I think Alabama takes this one easily. I think Bryce Young is definitely good enough to beat Miami, but definitely don't discount Derek King's skills. He's going to be special this year once he gets into the ACC play. He can definitely be somebody that I could see winning the Heisman when it's all said and done. Notable game that I saw this week that I mentioned earlier in the show, Georgia and Clemson. Clemson ranked number 3, Georgia ranked number 5. Now, in my eyes, JT Daniels is so damn good. And Clemson lost a lot on their offensive line. They do have, I'm going to pronounce this so wrong, DJ Uiagalelei. Definitely pronounced that wrong, but I tried.
It's okay.
He's really their only returning player on the offensive side of the ball. So I just think JT Daniels, what that offensive line is, I think Georgia's returning 10 of their 11 starters on offense. Hard to compete with that. So I'm taking number 5 Georgia over number 3 Clemson this week. And then my picks for the year, we got Heisman's to give out, college football playoff spots to give out. We got a national championship ring to give out. Heisman, I'm going JT Daniels. Again, I've said it before. I'll say it again. Personally, I think he's the best player in college football. I don't think it's close. Spencer Rattler, you can throw in the conversation. DJU out of Clemson, you can put in the conversation. But I think JT Daniels is going to take a massive leap this year, which is saying a lot because he was already so damn good last year. My college football playoff, I see Alabama getting in because they're Alabama. I see Clemson getting in. If they have that one loss to Georgia, I think that'll be fine as long as they win out, as long as they win the ACC, which I don't see is going to be very hard this year with no more Notre Dame. And then my number 4 team, I'm going Cincinnati. I think that group of 5 finally gets in. I don't see any reason why they can't. Indiana and Notre Dame are 2 very winnable games for them this year. And you can't really be all bought in on what Ohio State's got going on up north because first year, I think redshirt freshman quarterback, a lot of question marks up there in Ohio. So I think they may drop a game, which would definitely open the door for Cincinnati going undefeated. Definitely making the playoff. A national champion. I told you it was going to come. It was going to come eventually, Max. I think the national championship's coming back to Tuscaloosa. I'd love to say it, but I think there's I hate to say it, but it's a lot harder to say this year than it was last year. Last year was a big old walk in the park. But this year, there's a lot of good teams in college football. It's going to make for a really exciting college football season. I think once we get into that playoff or postseason where we get the conference championship games and college football playoff games, any game could be won by anybody. I think it's going to be one of those years where you really don't know. You could get a number 4 seed, win the national championship. Could get somebody who you didn't even think could make the playoff being a national champion. It's going to be a fun year. It's going to be an interesting year. I'm all for it. Illinois, Nebraska, starting up tomorrow. We'll wrap it up there because I think that everything's been said.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we'll wrap it up there, boys. Thanks for tuning in again. First episode under in the books. Max, thank you for sitting down and joining.
Absolutely,
joining the show. We'll see you guys back next week. Adios.
See you next Friday.
Hey guys, thanks for watching. Be sure to check out the rest of our channel and subscribe. Make sure to follow our Instagram and maybe consider subscribing on Patreon for our bonus content. You can only find it there. I promise it will be well worth it. Thanks.